Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be taking a look at the best Korean Gangplank, also known as Mangki, and his very interesting new build that he's been cooking up. Now, if you've been a Gangplank main for a while, you'll probably already know about Mangki, but for the more newer Gangplank players, let me give you a quick introduction to who he is. Mangki is the highest ranked Gangplank one trick on the Korean server. He's been around for a long while and he's very well known amongst other high elo Korean solo queue players for his fearsome Gangplank. So if you take a look at his accounts here, this is his current account. He's currently 759 LP Grandmaster. I think this is like top 500, Korea like 500. He was like 850 before. This is his current account. You can see he's consistently Grandmaster or Master tier. If we take a look at his other accounts though, we can see that he's been consistently Challenger since Season 8. I'm not aware if he played before Season 7. This is the only accounts that I found of him that I'm certain of that it is his. So we see that Season 13 Challenger, Season 8 Challenger, Season 9 Challenger. So he's quite consistently very high elo in Korean solo queue, which is obviously very impressive as a Gangplank one trick. Here's another one of his accounts. I will link his current main account in the description, and you can take a look at his games. He also has a YouTube channel where he uploads his gameplay. I will also link that. They are in Korean though. He doesn't have. He sometimes has like English subtitles, but the audio is in Korean. So, but the gameplay is obviously still fascinating to watch, and you can still learn a lot from it. Now, if we take a look at his main account currently, and we just take a quick scroll through his match history, we will see something a little bit interesting, and that is that he does not play with First Strike anymore. Mangki has given up on First Strike. I think it's kind of fair enough after the nerfs. So if we look at the rune choices here, we mostly only see Fleet and Grasp. He does basically Fleet, Grasp, Inspiration, and he always goes Biscuits and Jack of all trades. With the Fleet, he goes Absorb Life, Legend Haste, and Cut Down, obviously. These are pretty standard Gangplank runes. I think he does Attack Speed rune, maybe depending on the matchup, or he sometimes goes double adaptive, sometimes takes the attack speed rune. I think it's preference probably. Last time he played First Strike was here 13 days ago, so like 2 weeks ago, and it was versus a Mundo. Which is obviously, that's a fine matchup to go First Strike into, because you can print a lot of money. But even in later Mundo games, he decided to opt for Fleet or Grasp instead. And the reason for that, I think, is very simple. First Strike feels very underwhelming now. It got nerfed multiple times. The damage is a lot lower, and even the gold income is now lower. While Fleet and Grasp have basically stayed untouched for most part. I know Fleet got some small changes, but the Grasp has been mostly untouched. It actually even got a buff, if I recall correctly. But the biggest changes to these runes were not actually the main keystone, it's the options that are below that. See, Riot added Absorb Life and Legend Haste, which synergizes very well with Gangplank's kit. This makes it that we can get the most out of this whole page while having a keystone that gives us infinite sustain. Which sounds very appealing, of course, as a scaling champion like Gangplank, and this is exactly how Mangki plays. Mangki plays a very safe and sustain-based laning phase. He doesn't go for any crazy solo kills or anything like that. He stays as healthy as possible as he can throughout the entire laning phase, makes it basically impossible for him to die under his tower, and makes it very hard for him to die from a normal gank. Mangki's unique strength is that he's very mechanically advanced, and he's actually able to outplay most early ganks. Even though Gangplank's kit does not really have a lot to offer in the early game, he always finds a unique and creative way to escape. Now the thing and the whole purpose of this video, and what I'm most excited to share here, is his build. So we know now that he plays a very safe and sustain based laning phase, and synergizing together with this, Mangki has a very cost efficient build. Now we all know that the first core item of Gangplank is Triforce, but what he builds after is not the usual items you would think of. Mangki doesn't build the usual IE or Collector after Triforce. Instead, he opts for Opportunity and LDR as his second and third item. If you compare them, IE plus Collector costs 6,600 gold, while Opportunity and LDR cost 5,700 gold. That is almost 1,000 gold cheaper. Now, we'll come back to why this is important in just a second. First, we're obviously gonna have to compare the damages of both builds, because we all know that's the only thing we Gangplank mains truly care about. Now, for this example, I'm using a level 16 Gangplank that has cut down, and the dummy has 100 armor, basically mirroring Gangplank's base stats at level 16. So you can just imagine that the dummy is level 16 Gangplank as well. First, let's see the damage of IE Collector. So a non-crit does 637 damage, and a crit does 1045. Now let's compare it to Opportunity Lord Dominic's. For this build, a non-crit barrel does 835, and a crit barrel does 1178. So we can see here that for both crits and non-crits, we're actually doing more damage. Now the argument obviously for this build at 3 items is gonna be, well, you only have 25% instead of 50% crit, right? Well, if we look back at how much this build actually cost us compared to IE Collector, we can see that we actually still have 900 gold to spend, which obviously, speaking for itself, we will buy another crit cloak with this. And with this, the only difference between the IE Collector build and this build is 10% crit chance. Another important thing to note with Mangki's build is that with Jack of all trades, you get 1 ability haste for each unique stat you have. In Mangki's build, you have 10 different stats if you go armor boots. So you are benefiting from 10 extra ability haste and 25 extra adaptive forces. Not to mention the ability haste from legend haste and the 8% damage from cut down. In some cases, Mangki actually also opts to buy Lord Dominic's first. So then the question becomes, do we even have to buy Collector anymore? So we're gonna do the same thing as earlier. Instead, now we're level 13 and the dummy has 80 armor, mirroring our base stats again. And we'll actually see that Lord Dominic's as a first item also does slightly more damage than Collector. Not only that, but it's 200 gold cheaper, and the build path is way more friendlier than Collector. You basically just have to buy a bunch of longswords and a crit cloak, instead of having to save up 1,300 gold for a BF sword. Now, it doesn't mean you have to throw away Collector. In a full build, Collector is still welcome, but you want to buy it after Lord Dominic's and after Infinity Edge. I played on my main account recently in Grandmaster/Challenger lobbies, and I can tell you, bro, this is the build. This is the best Gangplank build for solo queue right now. It's crazy to think that going cheaper items actually give you more damage, but it's such a well thought out build that it just works. Anyways, that's about it for this video. I really hope you guys will abuse this build until Riot decides to nerf it for some reason, maybe. I know Opportunity is getting some changes, but I don't think they will have any effect on Gangplank since he's a melee champion. But either way, if you've got any questions, put them in the comments below. And yeah, thank you for watching.